we gotta jump into this. We're making this pre-show much longer now that I looked at the time.
Yeah, because we had to do it twice. Hello and welcome. My name is Jay, and with me today is my good old friend Alexander Gonzalez.
Hey, that's me.
And please remember that we are not game devs. How are you doing today, Alex?
Good. Glad that we just ended our lifestyle podcast.
Well, I haven't really been playing games because literally all I've been caring about is jeans and denim right now, and that's all I've been thinking about.
And mine's Elden Ring and manga.
Yeah. I'm always into manga. But those are not the lifestyle choices we have made and talking about today. Today, we are creating something new. Every week, We Are Not Game Devs, we imagine a brand new video game idea from our minds. Join in on the fun, be creative. And if you have your own unique video game idea or want to patch ours, write in to @poundgames@gmail.com. Today, it's my turn to present We Are Not Game Devs' 207th IP. Now, what I have already kind of makes it a kind of a basic game. So let's not put in that. And I'm just going to give you the concept, and I want to see where you take it, and then I'll pitch you where I took it.
Okay.
But it's going to be a game where you're the captain of your own spaceship, and it's still recording, so it's fine. But I unplugged my headphone. Can you give me a check?
Check.
Cool. So you're the guy. I don't know what anime or video game I saw this in, but you're that guy who owns his own spaceship, and you're just idling in space, chilling, listen to music or whatever. And then you get a distress call, and then you get into like work mode. And so you answer the distress call. They're like, we need help at these coordinates. The ship's on fire and we need people out of the ship. And then you go and you save them. And then each mission in this game is you just accepting distress calls and going there and helping with the problem. And, that's it. That's the game. And then in between, you could like explore your ship. I think you could customize it and all that stuff, but that's not like the game portion. That's just like cosmetic and upgrade stuff that you could do on your ship. And then maybe like upgrade your ship to like do cargo and rescue missions versus like combat missions or whatever. Anyway, that's the game. What do you think?
So it's almost like in the same universe as that one Alien Taxi game. Remember that Alien cargo ship game?
I don't know what game you're talking about.
It's the Alien game where there's an AI and you have to do cargo missions and you're with the AI and you're like delivering stuff. And the AI tells you where to go. You don't remember that game?
I don't think I played this game. What game? What system?
It's a game you made.
Oh, it's a game we made?
Yeah, it was your idea.
It was my idea?
Yeah, it was like a cargo, like it was a person who was like what's the word I'm looking for? What Han Solo was.
A smuggler.
Smuggler, yeah. But they have like an AI and you have to like go through treacherous passages. But in this one, you're saving people.
To a certain extent. I think you accept any distress call that comes your way.
It kind of reminds me of like, do you know those kids shows? And I'm not saying like, I'm not making fun of it. But those kids shows where it's like, they're all hanging out and they're like, Paw Patrol, we need your help. Wendy got caught into a meteor belt and we need your special ship to pull her out. And you're like, I'm on my way. Wee-oo. And then like you fly up and you're like, use your tractor beam and pull her out.
Yeah.
Gosh, Jay, I'm so happy that you're here. You saved Wendy. And then it's like, whoosh, new mission. Hey, Jay, we need you on the south side of Planet 6. And you're like, gotta go. And then you're like flying off. You know what I'm saying?
It is
a little earnest.
It is essentially that. But I think sometimes you go to the distress call and it could be like an ambush. They like just called you there so they could like ambush whoever answers it.
Maybe the first one is you get there and there's just a bunch of floating ships and then there's holes and you don't see anything. And then it's like dark space, and then maybe a moon gets revealed as it passes over, like it's getting eclipsed, and you see a bunch of floating dead bodies, and you're like, oh, unless you want to, you don't have to make it dark.
No, it can totally go that way where you get there too late. like if you then it's just a random thing because like
Or there's aliens like eating and I don't know why, but in space there's always like these weird squid things that show up and just eat. You know what I'm talking about? Like they usually
yeah,
have really
like
long arms or tentacles.
parasital like
Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, you could get there and it's going to be a dead space kind of situation where like a parasite has infected the ship and then you have to like you get there because someone called you, but everyone has turned at that point, or maybe there's one person still alive and you have to go save that
Do
guy.
you want to do one mission where you're a slave? You get into a slaver ship and then you have to make your way out,
Yeah.
or
Or like
you know what I'm talking
you
about?
get while you're to the distress call, like I said, it was a trap just to get you there. So you get kidnapped, not kidnapped, but commandeered by a bigger ship, and then you get like yeah, put with smoke gas, and then you get thrown into the brig, and then you have to find your way out. Like shit like that could happen. And okay, since we're going this far into it, all this stuff is still applicable to how I want this game formatted, where I do want this to kind of be like a roguelite, where we have a bunch of missions, like we have over like 1,000 missions that can possibly happen, and they all have like some dialogue, and they all have like we could do it like Hades, where some of them are recurring characters or whatever that could come in. But for the most part, you get there and it's a new like space ship thing that you have to explore, and there's a different layout, and you have to go through and kill whatever thing, or sometimes you don't even have to kill, and every instance is different. And then when you get back to your ship, you whatever rewards you get, you could put into upgrading your ship, to putting in like things that could upgrade your suit or whatever, your weapons, and then you could also have like more comfortable furnishes to like give you passive stat upgrades and stuff like that. And that's the frame I had in my mind, but it could also be like a mission based. You have 32 missions in the game total, and you just go through a story that's just being told or whatever.
I think we can decide which one to go with based off what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be attacking. Do you want it to be a that you're in a ship and you have blasters, you have missiles, you have a tractor beam? Because once we have what the actions are, we can upgrade those actions and then go from there. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what's
I
the
think
main? What are you going to be doing? What's that 30 seconds loop of fun?
it's actually just, I think in my head, a mix of both. So there's some missions where you answer a distress call, you get there and it's ship combat. Or sometimes you get there and you dock onto another ship and then you go onto their ship and then you go through, and it could be you have to fight an alien parasite thing that's aboard the ship, or you get there and then it's like loose animals that are vicious on a ship, or you get there and it's a hostage pirate situation, or you get there and it's I don't know, a robot AI that has gone rogue and you have to like help with that situation. Sometimes you get there and it's like a smuggler situation where people stole something and they're trying to get something off their ship, and you have to accept to do it or not. Like you have choice in all these options as well.
So
I think.
should we, for the weapons, should we make it where one's like a blaster that you can charge up and fire, or maybe not charge up and fire? Maybe there's like an overheat function where depending on how you shoot, you can either shoot like press the button once and shoot that way, or you can hold on to it and it'll, when you hold on to it, it creates like a laser, almost like a laser sword, but there's an overheat. So depending on what you use, and then you can upgrade it so where it doesn't overheat as much, or you fire faster bullets, whatever. And then while you're outside of your ship, there should be a grappling hook for fun, and zero. And if you have a grappling hook, you can do zero gravity, because then it's like you're just going wherever.
By the way, I do see this also kind of isometric, kind of like Hades, or like
I figured. Okay.
yeah, like kind of like and then the space combat stuff would feel kind of like, I guess it would kind of feel like I mean, it actually would just feel like No Man's Sky, but like not as great looking. It's gonna look like, I don't know how to explain it, but I've played some indie space games where you had like space combat. It's the 3D, like all this stuff, but it doesn't look great, but it looks pretty good. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just the 360 aerial combat situation, like Star Fox, essentially, where it's like all 360 aerial stuff, and that's how the space combat would work.
Okay, yeah.
Probably
I
steal
still
heavily from Battlefront 2 space combat because I think that worked really well.
I like it. I like it. So it's Battlefront 2, is it like the third person where you see outside of your ship kinda?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I like that. And I think, yeah, like you said, maybe with different missions, you'll get small incremental upgrades, and then those can also help your ship. And then big upgrades will, increase your attacks and supplement your attacks. And then there can be little collectibles here and there that are good for appearances.
yeah. And I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I think there can also be, so you get multiple different array of weapons and upgrades that you could interchange. Like, let's say you could change out a secondary and primary weapon, and then you could change out like certain suits that you might have collected and unlocked and paid for. And same goes for your ship. You could either make it a passenger ship, a cargo ship, a storage ship, depending on the mission. And as you upgrade them, that's when more distress calls get opened up to you, type of thing. So the game would just introduce more types of distress calls that you could receive. And then before you launch out for a distress call, maybe there's like a second ready up screen where you could like change out. So the distress call, you'll get it, you'll hear it, obviously, because it's going to be, I think, all voice acted. And then you'll get the information, and you're like, okay, so this one, I could potentially be taking on rescues. Like, I need to help people get on the ship, so I'm going to make my ship a passenger ship. But then you get there and you don't realize you also have passengers, but then they also all need to bring on their stash of illegal drugs because they're like smugglers or something. And so you have to be like, well, I could take you, or I can't take this, and stuff like there's like those minor decisions that are going to be made as you go out for the distress calls. And I do kind of like the idea of having a Hades-like element where your character has a personality that's specific to that character, and then all the other characters you meet out in the world, you'll have like random characters that you'll only see like once or twice, and then the characters that will be reoccurring, like other people who do this for a living, bounty hunters, pirates, federal protection force, whatever they're called, bad guys, good guys, and all sorts. Like, they'll have characters that you can build relationships and meet while on distress calls. Maybe they'll come and even help or not help you in certain distress call situations.
I like it. And I also want there to be maybe some returning characters as well. Like certain people, or it doesn't even have to be a bunch of characters, like the dispatcher, for instance. And then maybe like a famous space pirate, or what I'm talking about, where there's maybe certain big figures in this universe that you're running into as well, that maybe you guys mess in the same space.
Yeah. And I think it'll work just like Hades, where you could build relationship bars with them and progress their relationship to get more dialogue and learn more about them. And it'll just work just like that. And then to like meet up with them and like talk with them to get their scripted 6 hearts to the dispatcher, to get that exclusive conversation in between distress calls. You could just be in your ship, and then there's like a comms center where you could use to call the people that you want to get in touch with, and sometimes they'll answer, sometimes they won't, sometimes it'll just be to say some 2-line, be like, hey, I'm busy, sorry, I'll call back later, type of thing. But then you could also get conversations with them and stuff like that.
And then I'm thinking, and then we can progress it, since it's like roguelite-ish, so that different stuff happens, and depending on how much you talk to them, maybe they can even show up in story versions, or you can run into them.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a light story in the background that's progressing.
I'm fine with that. Real quick, have you played Hades at all? I don't remember.
I beat it.
You beat it
just once.
I didn't remember if we had or not. We definitely
Yeah, I
talked
did.
about
I
it because
did.
I was obsessed with Hades for a long time.
Yeah, no, I beat it. Beat Hades and then stopped playing.
Yeah. But definitely do stuff like that. And then it's going to take a little bit from Eternal as well, where it's more just sci-fi and stuff. But yeah, I definitely think it's going to differ to both those games, where it's going to have like, it's going to be like this game I've been playing on PS Plus, one of the free games, Curse of the Dead Gods or whatever, where you could pick your weapon loadout and like different aspects of your loadout and stuff and switch them out on the fly. But I don't think that's going to be the case in this one, where one distress call, I think could last anywhere between 5 minutes to like 20 minutes. And like they'll be like shorter than a run in like Hades. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a faster loop. It's not going to be like you're on a 60-minute run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. And what it sounds like to me is like you're trying to sell a vibe, right? Like you're trying to sell like a certain type of vibe where there has to be an aesthetic that comes along with it.
Yeah.
Like the space kind of showing up and helping people. Do you want it to be like a little gritty?
I definitely feel this sci-fi world feeling the most like Cowboy Bebop. So very gritty, dirty.
Yeah, like you show
This,
up to a space wreck and there's like fluid leaking, there's like parts floating
yeah,
around.
like the space exploration golden age has already happened, and people are kind of jaded now. This is just the norm. You just space travel, and there are people out there that just take distress calls to make money, and like that is just a career path for people. And like this is just life now. You know what I mean? Kind of like Star Wars. It's just life. It's not like new at this point. Um, and then I do want the main character to have like a sense of humor. Like he's very like cynical and makes a lot of jokes, and like he's kind
Almost
of
like a
like
Peter Parker, like he'll make fun of the situation kind of thing.
more like a Star Lord, like a Peter Quill, where it's like he doesn't take it too
Yeah.
seriously, but he cares obviously a lot. Like he really does want to be the best distress call assistant dude. This dashing guy who goes around space and
Like he
helps
still takes
people.
pride in his work.
Yeah, but he acts very chill about it. Like he's a cool guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like that's going to be his vibe. So he'll have like a sense of humor, kind of like, well, I can't remember his name right now. Zagreus.
Zagreus, yes.
Yeah. Kind of like that, where he's jaded, kind of cynical, but has a good heart and a good sense of humor.
Okay, what's the death loop? Like what happens in it? You know how you're supposed to die and
That's
then get
right.
better?
Yeah.
Do you die, or is it just instead of that, it's not really a roguelite, you're just progressing through missions and trying to, then it's a high score meter game, right?
Right.
So if you
No,
finish, it's high scores. If you die, then it's a loop. And then that's a roguelite. You see what I mean?
yeah. I guess
And there has to be difficulty. And that's frustrating.
the
You
death.
can't save the people.
What is the death thing? Maybe what it is that there's like a tech here that is kind of like a more advanced thing of the Star Trek beam me up thing, whatever that is, you know, like the teleporter,
Yeah.
where you could do that wherever. So when you go down in health, your character will fall to the ground and he just presses the button and then he'll like get teleported. And then like the characters you're fighting would like make a comment like coward or whatever, you run back wherever to your ship and then you just get away type of thing.
Got it.
Yeah. He just gets away and then you have to heal and it takes money. Like maybe the negative thing is it will take like money and time to heal back up to get back out there. So maybe you're like status, or maybe the distress calls you get aren't as difficult and aren't as hard for a few more. And then maybe we'll have like, yeah, the more you get in a row, the harder and longer these random encounters will take, you know? And then they will progress in difficulty and in story, quote unquote. And as far as story, we can make it so it's not repetitive. Once you see the story stuff, you don't get it again. And so you'll like get to a certain difficulty cap, and then there's like a main story point there. When you go back, it's a different layout, but it's the same quest per se, but you just won't get the story dialogue because you've already seen it. But it's going to be the same difficulty, the same enemies that you fight. It's just going to be a different layout of the spaceship that you're exploring for that particular story beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I gotcha. All right, so you're going to be booted out. There's going to be some crazy emergencies you're not going to be able to solve, or you're not going to be strong enough. Do you want there to be also like major emergencies, like boss emergencies, like where they're a little less randomized because they're on a larger scale?
I think there's going to be scripted bosses and also mini bosses that are random encounters that are distress signals. And then as far as how the distress signals work, I think you'll get a few sometimes or just one or two other times. And then on the ones that are a few, when you listen to them, you don't have to accept them right away. But when you listen to the distress call, some will be kind of obvious. Like, this is going to be a boss. You know what I mean? Like, this is a mini boss. Like, get ready for this one.
Okay. I like it. So what are we looking at here? Like, how is it looking? We know it's asymmetric. What kind of space are we seeing?
I guess it would have to be some kind of animated look, just because it's not going to be realistic, amazing graphics. So it has to have a stylistic choice to it. I guess it'll just have a cartoony specific look. Maybe like, let's say kind of like Broken Age mixed with Hades. So like
you could go where it's like an illustrated or hand-drawn look, I guess, if you want, and then make the blacks of space super black. Like focus on doing the HDR in the blacks and stuff in between to make all the others colors pop. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, like I think that's a good idea. Like we can make it kind of look like what was that game about the drawing fox, Okami?
Oh, an illustrated space. There's never been anything like that, really. Yeah. The closest is like I think one of those Star Wars shows.
What if we made it look like a Van Gogh painting, but in space? Like Van Gogh in space.
You could. It would just, I think it would pick up that kind of vibe where it's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You know what I'm talking about? Where people are like slow, or you're just like, man, this is crazy. Like this is like jazz happening.
Speaking of jazz, what kind of music are we hearing in this game?
It depends on what music you want to hear. So like, it depends on what you're going for. If you're going for a very, like a story where it's like Van Gogh and it's going to be very interpretive, then you could do jazz. You can do maybe like even a synth gets very vibey if you just have a synthesizer going while doing all this stuff. What do you think? I can go either way.
I want a mash between Hotline Miami soundtrack and jazz. I don't know what that would be. Probably more funk. So I guess funk.
Funk, huh?
Yeah. Did you play Hotline Miami?
No, I never played it.
Dude,
if it came out for mobile, I would.
It's on my Vita, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I gotta check it out.
Yeah, you should check it out on the Vita. I'm pretty sure I played it on the Vita. At least Hotline Miami 1. Pricing, I don't know. I say $50.
50? Okay, 50
How much was Hades? Like 40, 30?
I don't remember.
I think Hades was around there. I don't remember either.
Interesting.
All right, Alex, it's time to start your timer because it's time to name this game.
Begin.
SOS. I think we named the game that.
No.
I'm pretty sure we named the game SOS.
SOS in 6 seconds. SOS is a space crisis game where you save people floating through space, investigate different wrecks, different occurrences, incidences, all of that in your own quadrant. What will you run into? Will you be enough to survive?
All right. So I think we have a game here, Alex. What do you think? Would this be a game you would want to play? And is it fun?
Yeah, I'd play it because it sounds like it's something that wouldn't be too long. It'd be vibey. It'd be one of those games that you play for an afternoon. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to take this out this weekend. I think it would be a nice game to do so, where it's not too daunting to get in, but it's also a vibe that you'd want to chase. You know, you turn on your RGB lights and shit behind your TV and all that to get this game going. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I would definitely give it a shot. I think it would be fun. And speaking of that, if the game studio that made this game was Supergiant, and they're like, we made it with Hades. This is our fucking shit. And they just started making more Hades likes, you know what I mean? And this is just what they make. Because like Supergiant, all their games are almost completely different from each other. They're except for the first 2, 3, they're all so different. You know what I mean? Like Bastion and Transistor and Velocity or whatever. Was it Velocity? I don't remember what their first game was called. But all those games are pretty similar. But then you got into Pyre, which was one of the best games I've ever played in forever. And then you get into Hades, which is also one of the best games I played in forever. They're so different now. And then maybe Hades is like, okay, Pyre was cool, but no one could get into it. But everyone got into Hades. Everyone got into Hades.
You know, it'd be great if like Bethesda developed this game and they just released it. They're like, we're working on everything else, but here's just a little teaser of what we're thinking about doing in space.
No, this would actually just be a occupation in Starfield. Like the whole game is just a side thing you could do in Starfield. I bet you that's what would happen if this was Bethesda, Todd Howard Bethesda. You know what I mean? This isn't even the game.
Or maybe
this is a thing you could do, a side project.
Or like you do a quest where you visit someone's apartment and they're playing this game.
And you could just go on a computer and play it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any other game studios besides Bethesda?
I can't think of anything else. Like I'd want to do. This game makes me feel a certain type of way, but I just feel like they'd be really good at it. Or
what about
who developed
EA?
Prey?
Bethesda.
There you go.
Not Bethesda. I think it's id, or if it's not id, it's the other Bethesda.
Arcane.
Arcane. It was Arcane. Arcane.
Yeah, then I'd probably do Arcane. Because I'm trying to think of vibes.
Yeah. For me, it would be an EA original. So it'd be like a small indie studio that EA pays and produces for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. And with that, our 207th IP has gone gold. We hope you look forward to this experience that will probably never release. We have a Patreon. If you'd like to give us extra support, please head over to patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. For just $1, patrons receive episodes early and an extra podcast at the beginning, which caught the tail end of our conversation at the beginning of this episode. That's patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. Like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And if they ask for a review, instead of reviewing our show, become your inner game critic and review S.O.S, which I'm pretty sure we already named a game S.O.S. But that
not
is
in the last 100 episodes
that we just created. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next Friday with another new IP. Again, my name is J.E.
And here's AG signing off.
Thank you, and please remember that we are not game devs. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure.
In the last 100 episodes, we have not called a game SOS.
Okay, I believe you.
I looked through it. I scrolled for it once we came up with the name.
All right, SOS. Save our ship.
Makes me think of that song. I mean, I can't sing it because it'll be copyrighted, but it was on Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero is a thing that happened that old people experienced and young people did not.
They could still experience it at like a Dave and Buster's or like a round one. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's there. All of them
It'll
are
be like
there.
how
The one
people-
with the fingers,
Yeah,
the one with the DJs, the one with the buttons.
yeah, you're right.
The OCs.
DJ Hero, man.
The ones that they have new ones where it's like a shuffling one. You ever see those ones?
where they remove the arrows and it's just a pad that you
Yeah,
dance
yeah.
on.
It's like a weird pad with a bunch of cameras all around you, and it just records you. And then there's like hand motions that you got to make and shit.
Can't do it.